the people who watch Bill O'Reilly do not care that he seems to be a serial liar. And I'm not talking about, you know, Sam Seder saying he's a serial liar on, you know, on policy or the policy implications, or there's weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. I mean, just sort of like, apparently this guy cannot tell an anecdote without, and this latest one is really, you know, there was the story about how apparently he claimed in his book that he was knocking on the door of a
I know that story well. Moran de Schultz, I can't pronounce his name very well, but the JFK assassination buff of sorts. You know, it was one of the people who was going to testify between on the select committee on assassinations, and he killed himself, shot himself with a shotgun. It's always have been, by the way, suspicions around that, but we won't get into it. And O'Reilly claims he was right outside the guy's door when he wasn't anywhere. The guy's in Florida. O'Reilly's in Dallas. I mean, he wasn't in the same city.
Right. These are not lies like, you know, I would claim like he's lying about the implications of net neutrality. This is just sheer like, oh yeah, I used to be a race car driver. And,
yeah,
you know,
that's the ticket. You should start saying that's the ticket at the end of everything.
Exactly.
Maybe.
I mean, this is like literally, you know, I think when I was in second grade or first grade, I told people that Speed Racer was my brother. And the reason why you never saw him is because he's at college. I mean, these are the type of lies.
That's not true?
No, that turns out, I'm sorry, I was supposed to correct that. But here is the latest one. Where
the LA riots one, please tell them because it's so awesome.
This is unbelievable. So Bill O'Reilly claims that he was caught with his fellow, I guess, reporters and, you know, his production team.
Right.
Yeah, he claims that he was caught in the middle of the riots, where concrete was raining down on us, and we were
That's the important phrase there, raining down on us. Yes. You have to imagine enormous piles of concrete coming in bricks coming down on their heads is what he was saying.
We were attacked by protesters. Well, apparently the Guardian spoke to a bunch of members of that team, and they said, oh, no, that's not what happened at all. This is the way that one of them describes. There were people putting out fires nearby, and Bill O'Reilly showed up in his fancy car. Apparently, he took
a
limo.
He showed up in a freaking limo.
And so the driver of O'Reilly's
got out and
car
started polishing the car as the place was on fire. I mean, not the place, as in, like around them. Buildings are on fire, and there's riots, and this guy gets out and starts polishing the car.
Now, one guy, McCowan, or Teresa McCowan, I guess, who was one of the people on the production team, says there was no concrete. There was a single brick. And not only was there a single brick, it was a guy who was watching O'Reilly set up his camera shoot. And according to McCowan, Bill was being Bill, complaining, people are in my eye line, and being very insensitive to the situation. It was just so out of line. He starts barking commands about, this isn't good enough for me. This isn't going to work. Who's in charge here? And so the man shouted abuse at O'Reilly and the team, crew members said, and O'Reilly ordered him to shut up. And he asked, don't you know
You can't imagine any of that happening, by the way, right?
Impossible.
I've never heard the man tell somebody to shut up. I've never heard him, we're doing live, you know, that kind of thing.
And he yells, don't you know who I am? And so the guy came and took a brick and smashed the camera. Didn't threaten anybody, didn't throw it at anybody, smashed the camera. And so it was interesting. One of the guys...
The concrete, just to be clear, rained down from his hand into the back of the camera.
Right, indeed. And and then apparently O'Reilly pretended that he was going to go after the guy. And one of the producers, who was like a foot shorter than O'Reilly, held him back, and he said, it wasn't very hard. Bill was sort of not really actually going to The producer.
Yeah, O'Reilly supposedly was like ashen. He was like white, like pale white, scared out of his mind, but trying to act tough. I mean, that's why I love this one even better than all the other ones. Everything in here, from the lie about what happened, like on the other cases, just a complete exaggeration of anything that occurred. But beyond that, he shows up in a limo, has his driver polish it. That's what gets the guy angry, not that the guy wants to. Not that it's a riot and the guy wants to attack any reporters there, but because of what a jerk he's being. He's yelling at him to shut up, another classic O'Reilly move. Telling him who he is, another classic O'Reilly move, which, by the way, at that time, he's the host of Inside Edition, which I'm sure everybody knew who that host was.
Yeah, don't you know who I am?
Exactly. And so, I mean, this is exactly the way I've pictured that this man lives every day of his life.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is the
going
best
around
line.
showing off while having this enormous chip on his shoulder and never feeling good enough for the establishment, which is why he needs to always scream against it and say how reporters are so liberal and so terrible, because all these reporters who thought Bill O'Reilly sucked at his job because he sucked at his job must be just liberal plants, who hate me. And he's going around in a limo to try to impress people. He's telling people, do you know who I am? He's threatening to fight like he always does on his show, even though he's such a wimp, he never would have done a damn thing. I mean, this is like literally, if you want like the angry, white, resentful male in the Republican Party, all of their various personality quirks, it's all there in Bill O'Reilly in this incident. All of it.
Now, to be fair, there was some disagreement amongst members of the team as to whether or not O'Reilly was actually responsible for the guy's behavior. Okay, so one person, McCowan, said, well, I mean, it would have pissed me off. There didn't seem to be a sensitivity for what these people were going through. It was more, I'm here to do my show. Another guy said O'Reilly had provoked the man, who was pissed off with O'Reilly's attitude. A third, however, rejected suggestions that O'Reilly was responsible. Not at all, he said. Another guy said he didn't know. I can't say if that's true or not, he said, but, quote, I don't have much respect for Bill, having worked for him during that time. He was a real jackass. And, which is like, listen, I'm still a news guy. I'm not going to make an assessment that I can't verify, but I will say this with assuredness, he was a total jackass. I mean, you got to appreciate the integrity involved in that statement.